Welcome to Life, Lessons, and Laughter with your host, Glenn Ambrose.
Hey there, happy people. Welcome to the show. Peace Over Turmoil. Lots of turmoil. Lots of turmoil going on out there. What prompted this is I asked a question on social media, what people wanted me to talk about on my podcast, and it was certainly a theme. Some of the responses were how to keep your sanity with everything going on in the world and in personal situations, how to continue thinking spiritually while dealing with the unruly public, how to deal with overwhelm, having a lot going on, change and fears, how to program the mind to adapt and deal with anxiety and overwhelm in a rapidly changing world, choosing peace no matter what, choosing your attitude regardless of situations and circumstances. Lucky or not your mind, there lies your freedom. How to let go, like this, you see a theme going on. So really, there is a lot going on in the world. There's a lot going on in the world, and the way that we've kind of morphed or developed over years in society is that we are so busy living our lives. It's going so fast, and it's a lot, man. It's a lot, so it's really, but this is it. This is the work that we have to do, is we have to stay grounded. We have to stay centered. We have to live our lives from the inside out, not from the outside in. What happens is we're addicted to external. So we're always looking outside. We're looking outside at our circumstances. We're looking outside at the things that make up our so-called life. And we think, because we don't like what we see out there, either in our personal lives or collectively, that if we fix those things, or if those things were fixed, then we would be peaceful within. Then we'd be happy. Then we'd be okay, which is untrue. It's not that. I mean, would we experience some certain level of peace? Well, let me say it this way. Of course, if there wasn't as much difficulty going on in the world collectively, and or you didn't have as much controversy in your life going on, personally, would you feel calmer? Well, sure, you would. But one, that's not in your control, most of it. And two, you've got it backwards. Like it's like, yeah, if everything leveled off, right? All your external circumstances leveled off, would you feel some peace? Yeah, you probably would. But the problem with that scenario is that you're screwed, because it's not going to stay like that. That's not reality. That's not life. See, we are in an ever-changing reality here on Earth. So everything constantly changes. That's just how it is. It's the reality of life. Your car is going to be a pile of dust someday. So sometimes things take long times to change, and sometimes things take shorter times to change, but they always change. Like, there is no life. There isn't one that exists where you get everything kind of settled and all order, and then everything just stays like that. Like your relationship is good, your kids are doing good, the job is going well, all your finances are taken care of, and everything just stays like that for like the next 60 years. That that's not life. And I know when I say it like that, you guys are like, well, of course not. Right, of course not. But if you slow down and really look within, that's kind of what you're trying to accomplish. Most people are trying to live their lives like that because they're trying to fix the external things, right? So why would you be trying to fix the external things if you didn't think that fixing the external things was going to bring you peace and happiness? You think it's going to bring you peace and happiness. That's why you try to fix them. And if you look at it closely, you're out of control with most of those things. They're not within your control. Most of the things that can go awry are not within your control. All you have the ability to do is navigate them. You don't have the ability to whether they happen or not, to control that. So what you're trying to do is control the external things that you have no control over. And then even if you were lucky enough to get all your ducks in a row, one of them's going to wander off, or somebody's going to kick a duck, or one of them's going to get hit by a car. There's going to be a problem with a damn duck, and then you're screwed again. So if that's your outlook, and like if you're new to this, you've got to slow down and really look deep and understand on an unconscious level. Again, when I say it out loud, of course you're going to go, well, no, of course, that doesn't make sense. I don't try to do that. That would be stupid. No, all kinds of weird stuff makes sense on an unconscious level where it's undissected, where we don't go in and actually look at it, bring it up to the surface and go, what's motivating my behavior? Oh, for some reason, I think I can control my external circumstances. Or I think that if I got everything settled and I keep trying to settle them, and then one falls off and I try to settle it again, and then the one's over there falling off and I try to settle that, and I'm really getting tired and I don't know why. That's because you're trying to control life. You're trying to control things that you can't control. And that's not where peace comes from. Like I said, would you experience a certain level of peace if everything just chilled? Yeah, probably, but it wouldn't last, right? So you have to really slow down and understand that there's an unconscious belief that you have not looked at yet that is actually driving your behavior. See, this is how we work. On an unconscious level, we have these belief systems, and a lot of them are, we formed between the ages of 0 and 8, 4 to 7, depending on who you ask. Major events in our life can make us shift a belief system and put a new one in place or reinforce an old one. And most of it is socially. It's our society that just everybody else is functioning like this. So we just, at a young age, we go, oh, this must be the way life works. And we're too young to understand that it doesn't actually make sense. And we're new to the planet. We don't know, so we just pay attention to what everybody else does like a sponge, and everybody's living like this. So this must be the reality on Earth. So we adapt to it and we start living like that too. So we're very socially conditioned and domesticated to the way we interact with life, but it's on an unconscious level. So we need to go down there and understand this stuff deeper and go, oh, I would like to not think like that anymore. I would like to have a realistic outlook on life, and I would like to try controlling what I can control, and I would like to start living life from a different belief system, a different core belief system way down at the bottom that drives my thinking. Because like I said, if down at the bottom, if I go, well, I have to straighten everything out and then I'll have some peace if I do that. If I believe that on an unconscious level, way deep down, then every decision I make and every perspective, every angle that I look at reality at is going to be from that foundation. So like I believe that we have to live from the inside out, not the outside in. Okay. So if I look at a situation and I go, okay, well, this is a melee up here. this is all out of control and wacky. So then if I'm looking at that and I believe that I live from the inside out, like my peace is in my center, and that is what I can anchor to, well, then I'll look at the external and I'll figure out a way that's healthy for me to deal with it. Because what's driving me is the belief that I am in control of my reality on the inside, and whatever's reflecting back to me on the outside is just a symptom. So like maybe I need to do some inner work or there's a little growth I need to do, and then that situation will calm. Or say, well, this isn't in my control, and technically it doesn't even have anything to do with me, and I can't, like, I don't have the facilities, either the money or the time or the ability or something to shift this. So therefore, why worry about it? I'm not going to worry about it because I can't control it. There's nothing I can do. So I need to just let that go with the understanding of I'm not letting it go because I don't care. I'm letting it go because I can't do anything about it. And I'm going to come back to center. So do you see how, like, the way you look at things changes? So like I look at it like that. It's like, oh, okay. Why would I decide to let something go that I can't change? Well, because I believe my peace comes from within and I have no control over that. So it just makes logical sense to let it go. However, if your core belief system is, I have to fix my external circumstances so I feel at peace within, you're not going to come to that conclusion. You're going to get immersed in the outside world. You're going to lean into the drama of whatever's going externally, and you're going to try to control things that you can't control and fix them. And then, like I said, there's certain aspects of life that we kind of have some control over. But even if we're lucky enough to get everything in order, then it all messes up again. We have to do it over again. And this is why we feel all this overwhelm. But that's the logical thing to do if you believe that you have to live from the outside in. If you have to straighten everything out to have peace within, if that's your belief system down at the core, of course you're going to try to fix all this stuff. It's the only logical thing to do because you think that that's what's necessary. So you're going to attempt to accomplish that. What I'm telling you is that you can't. You can't accomplish that. And logically, it doesn't make any sense, And whether you believe in a really intelligent universe or a loving God, like, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense that we're not in control of our happiness. And if our happiness is based on external things that we have no control over, then that wouldn't make sense, because we would be incapable of living a peaceful, happy life on a consistent basis. Why? Because the things that determine whether we live a peaceful or happy life are outside of us, and we don't have control over them. So therefore, we have no control over our own peace and happiness. How would that make sense? Why would a divinely intelligent creative force create a system where its parts have no control over whether they have a happy existence? And keep in mind that whatever this intelligent force is, or this loving God is, I mean, it's obvious if you say loving God, right? It wants what's best for you. It wants you to have a peaceful, happy life. So why would a loving God not give you control over your own life, whether you have peace and happiness in it? And from a divine intelligence, or just a creative intelligence mentality of the universe, like if we expand, and we expand when we create more happiness and contentment and peace, and emanate more love energy, a higher vibration frequency of love, as opposed to depression and sadness and anger. Like, so if it just created some system where it said, okay, I want these, if these beings down on earth expand, I will expand. If they raise their vibration, my vibration will raise, because they are part of me. And that's what I want to happen. So I'm going to give them these feelings called love or happiness to get them to do more things that raise their vibration and expand them. So and then like when they're not doing things that expand them, I'm going to give them feelings that they don't like depression or anger or frustration. So that way they'll know what I want them to do, so they can expand and I can expand by proxy. So like if there's got to be some sort of system, there's some sort of intelligence that made up this system. Whether it's a loving God or an impersonal universe, it doesn't really matter. The system, it has to have some level of logic. So why would either system not allow us to be in control of whether we have peace or happiness? It just doesn't make sense. And it doesn't make sense to me. And I mean, I guess I guess if you want to believe that, I don't know if I'm sure somebody could believe it. I'm sure somebody could believe that it doesn't matter if we're like happy or miserable. I don't know. Another podcast. But so this is the system that's designed, and we have to go unconsciously and see that we are trying to control the outside world. We have to stop that and come within and control the inside world. This is why we start talking about mindfulness, living in the present moment, center yourself, ground yourself. Just it's all in. All work is inside work. We have the keys to the kingdom. It's just we have to go within to implement them and stop being having our attention drawn out externally and come internally. I mean, I think everybody needs to meditate, just 5-10 minutes a day. Start with guided ones. Insight Timer has tons of free ones, and just have somebody talk you through. Okay, focus, close your eyes, relax, those are easier, especially when you're starting, to have somebody guide you through the meditation. And experiment with different ones. Find some that the voice isn't annoying, because some of them will be, I guarantee it. So, but other people will love it, so you got to find what works for you. But meditate. Learn to calm your mind. Your mind is inside of you. You have control over that. So learn to slow your mind down through meditation. What goes off, what brings us off the rails is our mind and our emotions, right? And the problem is we are not in control of our mind or our emotions, and they are in control of us. So, this is why we get drawn off so much. It's like we are consciousness. We are awareness. If you are upset and somebody says, you seem upset, and you go, yes, I am. They go, well, how do you know that you're upset? Well, because I can feel it. Oh, so you're aware of a sensation of upset. Or it might be clearer when you're talking about a pleasant emotion. Oh, I'm happy. How do you know you're happy? Well, I can feel the sensations of happiness within my body. Oh, okay. So there's some sort of consciousness that's aware that you're experiencing something in your body. You're aware that you're experiencing something. Yes. This is like it's awareness. What's the terms that they use in science? It's it's not coming to me. I kind of thought that this would flow kind of nicely with what I was saying. I don't know, maybe it'll come. But so it's about going within. So we are consciousness, we are awareness. Okay, we don't, like, another way to explain it is, I know that this is a bottle of water. Okay, I don't need the voice in my head saying, hey, that's a bottle of water. Like that voice could not, and until I said it, my brain didn't say that. But if you pay attention to what's going on, like throughout your life, your brain is narrating everything. Oh, look at that bottle of water. That's a nice bottle. I'm kind of thirsty. I think I'll drink some of that water. Like you could actually do that. You could be aware, you're aware enough to know that this is water, that you have a thirst, and drink it without your brain narrating that process. Okay. So this is what I mean. We are consciousness. We are not that little voice that's constantly narrating something, but we're so identified with that voice that we think it's us. So if it says something, we think it's us. It's not us. That's just our brain, a tool, and we haven't been in control of it for so long that it just constantly runs. And quite honestly, it's driven by the ego, which is actually a defense mechanism. So the ego is looking for danger. That's its job. It's trying to protect you. And it thinks if it has more control over you, the more it can protect you. But it's a non-thinking entity. It can't really make decisions. Your consciousness makes decisions. It's supposed to. Our brain can make like 2 + 2 = 4 logical, computerized decisions. But what's right for us and what's wrong for us, that's supposed to be made by our consciousness, not our brain. This is why we can include intuition and stuff like this. Oh, I just know something's right. Well, yeah, but it doesn't seem to make sense. Yeah, but I know it's right. And then it turns out it's right. And you're like, how did you know? I don't know. I just knew. Like, that's intuition. That's our consciousness. That's us listening to our consciousness. So we are awareness. We're supposed to be able to go, hey, brain, what's 2 + 2? And it's supposed to go, oh, that's 4. We go, okay, cool. Thank you. And then it could go, hey, watch out. Like we could experience fear, right? That's an emotion. We could experience fear. And because our ego that's trying to protect us says, oh, there's a car accident up ahead. And we go, oh no. And then we react, and our brain might even tell us to go around or whatever, So like, but then they're supposed to shut up. They're tools. They can help us. There's nothing wrong with them, but we're supposed to be interacting with life with our consciousness, and then use them. But they are in control. They're constantly running. We don't have control over our emotions or our minds for the most part. So what we need to do is go within, center, slow that mind down so we can be like, so our mind can go, hey, that person that sits at the desk next to you was looking at your notes. They might be trying to, get a promotion before you. They might be trying to screw you over in your job. And like, if it's true, you go, oh, okay, cool. Maybe I should, watch my notes a little bit closer. But you could also say, no, they're actually not out to get me, because like they can't, like there's like they could do everything that they wanted. They could steal my notes and it still isn't going to get them where they want. So it's okay. There's nothing to be worried about. See, we should be making those decisions, not just because our brain said they're trying to screw you over. Oh my God, they are. And we automatically believe it. We're supposed to be the consciousness that decides what is a danger and what isn't a danger, what we can let slide and what we can't let slide. And we don't really do that. It's just if a thought passes through, we think that that's us and it must be the way we think. It's like, no, it's just a warning system. That's all. So we have to disconnect from our emotions and our brain to some degree and use them as the tools that they were meant to. They're not good at, quite honestly, decision making. Even our brain, it's more like I said, our brain can do calculations. Like our brain is like a computer. it can take past information that has been input to it and calculate it or navigate it really quickly and spit out something that it thinks is right. It can do that, but it needs to use the information that was previously put in. This is why sometimes it's difficult to solve a scenario that you've never been in before. You know, Einstein says you can't fix a problem with the consciousness that created it. You know, if we created a problem because of the way we're looking at life, and then all of a sudden we try to get out of it ourselves, a lot of times we can't, because like it's our consciousness and our way of thinking that got us here. It wasn't trying to get us in a crappy place. It was trying to do good things. You know, this was when I got sober. It was like, you know, I looked at my past life and I was like, oh, so now that I understand why I was making the decisions I was making and the way that I was thinking and that it was dysfunctional, of course I ended up with a dysfunctional life. And I was never going to fix it with that way of thinking. So I, you know, fortunately through the steps and having my spiritual awakenings, I came out the other side viewing life completely differently. And I needed to get some guidance and some help with other people to look at things differently. But a lot of it was, I just woke up to all these concepts and I started interacting with life differently. And guess what? I got different results. Of course. But it all starts within. So it's go within, go within, go within. Some of the things that you can do, you know, specifics are meditation. 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And, you know, don't, if I'm saying something and you go, oh, that's hard. Okay, then just continue living a crappy life and don't complain about it then. Of course it's hard. You know, everybody says, you know, I can't count how many times I say, you know, well, really, we need to meditate because one, it makes us more calm. It levels out our anxieties and fears and all that stuff. And it puts us more in control of our mind. So if our mind starts going too fast, too much momentum, and we go, hey, stop, it goes, okay, because we're in control of it now. So if we tell it to stop, it actually stops. Right now, most people, if your brain's running and it's out of control and you go, hey, stop, it's like, what do you mean stop? How do I stop? It doesn't even know what you're talking about or how to stop. So you have to learn to stop your brain. So if somebody says, well, meditation can help with that. So you sit down and you go, okay, brain, stop. Which stopping your brain is not necessarily meditation, by the way. But let's just stick with me. You go, brain, stop. And it goes, I'm not sure how to stop. And I'm not, and you keep thinking and thinking. And you go, oh, well, yeah, I got to stop at the store after work. And then I have to do this. And I have to do that. And your brain never stops, right? And then you go, oh, I tried. Well, you know, if you want peace, you actually have to put effort into it, just like anything else. Everything is energy. You know, so most of the time, you know, if you're not experiencing peace, you're not lacking any information. I mean, who knows? Maybe I'll give you a little nugget today, but quite honestly, if you've listened to any of my podcasts or read any type of self-help book or listened to any other podcast or listened to any other teacher or read anything, you probably have more information than you need. The problem is not that you're lacking information. The problem is that you're not implementing the information. That's the problem, because it's really freaking simple. Meditate. Try a 4-7-8 breath. Breathe in for 4, hold for 7, release for 8. Do that 3 times in a row and see how you feel. There's all kinds of breathing exercises out there. Learn some breathing exercises. That regulates your system, your breath. So you can learn to regulate your system with your breath. Like I said, the meditation, earthing or grounding, touch your skin to the earth. Like this is scientifically proven that with the electrons, and I ain't a scientist, so I'm not going to regurgitate something that I heard somebody else say. I don't remember it. But what I do know is that we're supposed to be touching the earth. And when I do, I feel better. So go sit in a river, go put your feet on the earth. Just touch a tree, touch a rock. It will literally relax you and calm you down and center you. It'll also probably do some things for you physically too. Like it actually helps release inflammation and stuff too. But so it's, it's all the things that everybody talks about. You notice that all the spiritual teachers and self-help teachers basically teach the same stuff. That's because it's all the same stuff. It's not rocket science. There's nothing weird here. There's no trick. There's no missing information that you haven't gotten yet. Just meditate. Meditate 5 or 10 minutes a day. Journal. Write down your thoughts. Keep a gratitude list. Write 5 things that you're grateful for every night. You'll notice that you're not only do you start experiencing gratitude when you're writing the list, then all of a sudden, and you start feeling better because you start noticing things that you're grateful for, but it also trains you to start looking for things to be grateful for, because you got to write that list that night. So you're walking through your day and you're like, what am I going to put on my list tonight? Because you're not supposed to put the same thing all the time. So you start literally looking for things to be grateful for, and you don't have to do all this stuff at once. Implement them one at a time, especially if it's overwhelming. Keep a book, like a spiritual book. I know one, Down to Earth by Glenn Ambrose, The Spiritual Being's Guide to a Happy Human Experience. There's like 61 chapters in there or something, and they're like 2 or 3 pages each. So you could read a chapter every day in 10 minutes or less. And so it's like one thought, one concept, one day. Next day, read another one. You can read more than that if you want. But I mean, just 5-10 minutes of reading. Listen to a podcast about this stuff on a drive to work or from work or both. I used to do that all the time. I mean, I grew tremendously. I used to have a 45-minute commute up to Massachusetts from Rhode Island for years. And I used to use that to feed myself spiritual food. Use these times, find it. I had a busy life. I had a young son at the time, working, trying to start businesses, all kinds of stuff going on. So I figured out how to get this in, because, the world out there is pretty dysfunctional and whacked out and it's getting worse. And that's another story, but you need to get society, and stop taking in so much. My God, if you still watch the news, please stop. Mute commercials, do anything you can to minimize the crap that you have coming in. And because we're exposed to it all day, right? But that's okay. We the system is set up for us to win. So we don't need to, if we take in 12 hours of crap all day, we don't need to combat that with 12 hours of meditation. It's just meditate for 10 minutes. Just give yourself 10 minutes of reading at night. Like I said, listen to a podcast while you're driving. Just little gaps. Wear a bracelet. And every time you feel your bracelet, just come back to the present moment. Like once you do it several times, you can do it in a few seconds. Just like, I mean, it can be that quick, but that's the thing too, is just come back to center. That disconnects the brain and it stops the momentum. We're all going way too fast in life. Just stop and come back here. And wait, like, especially in the beginning, like I said, you can do it like in seconds, right? After you practice for a while, but literally come back and close your eyes so you're not exposed to stimuli, and just go, all right, I'm going to come back to center. I'm going to come back to the present moment. I'm here in the chair. I'm just here in the chair. I don't have to worry about what I'm going to do next or what I was doing before, just for this moment. I'm just here. And you can feel the decompression. You can feel things slowing down. And usually in the beginning, you're going to want to stop too quickly. So you'd be like, oh, am I centered? And you'll hear this little voice that goes, yeah, you're centered. Oh, okay, you can get back to work and go back to doing. No. If that voice that answers you, this is how I test if I'm really centered. Am I centered? Yes. No, I'm not. The answer was too quick. That was my ego trying to get me to go do the next thing. Breathe. Now, I can feel I'm not centered fully. Now, am I centered? Yeah. So, like, when you're really centered, your consciousness will answer you instead of your ego. And your consciousness knows that it's good for you to be centered, and that there's no rush, and that there is no actual time, and we don't have to get back to the doing. So it's calm when it answers you. And usually there's a little gap in time before it answers you. It waits a second or two or three before it answers you. Why? Because why not? That's why. That's when you know that you're actually centered. But if you're like, am I centered? Yeah. No, you're not. So these are the little things, and when you get good at it, sometimes it can take 20, 30 seconds to center yourself. Ooh, do it as many times as you can throughout the day, because that breaks the momentum. See, momentum is a big thing. If you understand us moving too quickly, or our brain being in control of us, or running too much, if you understand that as momentum, then you'll understand what happens when you break the momentum. Momentum takes a while to build. That's why it's called momentum, right? So if you stop it every so often, then it has to build up momentum again. And then you stop it, and then it has to start building momentum again. You see, so you get more in control of it. It listens to you better. And it's not going so fast because, quite frankly, most people have been building up momentum for 30, 40 years. Like literally, So if you stop that momentum and your body doesn't have a chance to build up momentum for more than one whole day or more than half a day, that's a dramatic difference than 30 years. Of momentum just constantly building, and that gets you more in control of yourself. And as you're more in control of yourself, you're more in control of your emotions. Your center is closer. You don't have to work through all this momentum to get back to center. You're just like, oh, I'm going to come back to center, and you're just centered. And that means your emotions aren't running you, and your brain's not running you. Your consciousness is centered in the present moment. You're in control. You're aware. That's it. So this is the biggest way. Understand your circumstances cannot determine your happiness, or you will never find happiness. You have to determine your happiness, and it's within you. I guarantee you, if you get more in control of what's going on inside of your body, more peaceful, I guarantee you your external circumstances will start reflecting something different to you. Maybe you'll have to take action to change some situations. Like maybe, if you're in a long-term relationship, you might need to leave that relationship if it's been unhealthy and you couldn't figure out how to do it before. You'd be able to figure out how to do it now. So there might still be some external action you need to take, but it's going to be driven from an internal shift. A peaceful, calming place. We don't need to make changes. In fact, it's very negative. It's difficult. It causes more controversy when we make changes out of frustration. Sometimes we need to, but we're not supposed to. We're supposed to be making changes out of self-love, which is very calm and peaceful and loving energy. So we're supposed to be like, I just don't want to be, this isn't healthy for either one of us. We shouldn't be in this anymore. And you can end relationships without this all heartbreak turmoil. You might experience a little grief, but I mean, you can work through that. It can be very calm. You can find other jobs. You can do things in this calm energy, but you got to get calm first. And most of your issues, quite honestly, a lot of them will solve all on their own. You're not even going to have to do it. Most problems do that anyway. Even if you're like whacked out and all caught up in your problems, I did this once, write down all your problems. I wrote down on a list. I think it was one side of paper. I think I had like 17 or 20 problems or something. And I wrote them and I folded it up and I put it in an envelope with the date on it and the date like 2 weeks later or 3 or 4 weeks later. And I stuck it on my refrigerator. And when that time came, whether it was 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks later, I opened up the envelope and I kind of knew already, but I read through all the problems and about 75% of them weren't problems anymore. They just worked themselves out or something, and I realized like, oh my God, I drive myself crazy over these problems and half of them work themselves out. And that's, that wasn't even me doing, I mean, yeah, I guess I was working on myself. This was after I woke up. So I was doing some meditation and stuff like that, but like you probably don't even need to do that. And because we're in an ever changing reality. So like, as time goes, problems just, you don't have the same problems you did when you were 12. Of course not. Why? Because life changed. Did you fix some of them? Some of them you might have fixed, but some of them just probably you grew through. Your life changed and they're not an issue anymore. Like you don't, if you're an adult, you don't have to worry about homework. Why? Because you're not in school anymore. It's like life changes, man. So I think that's about it. It's just, come back to center. We got to live from the inside out because that's what we have control over. And a lot of our circumstances are reflecting what's going. Our insides are in turmoil, and then we wonder why our outsides are in turmoil. And then we try to fix the outsides. It's like, no, go in, fix the turmoil inside. Okay, fix the turmoil inside and see what happens. I mean, if you're adults and you've been living your life and you've been trying things, I mean, which I'm sure you have, you don't want to live stressed out. You don't want the world's problems getting to you, right? You don't want that. So you must have been trying something and it ain't working. That's why you're listening to this podcast. So try what I'm saying, like give it a real honest try. Try it for 3 months. And if for some reason your life you're not noticing differences, fairly substantial differences, message me and I will hop on a call or something and we'll try to figure out where the gap is, because I guarantee you this is going to work. So if there's got to be some sort of misunderstanding or something if this isn't working. And I'm not saying that this is going to fix everything in your life, okay? Like, just to be clear, like if you have trauma, you might need to work through some trauma, okay? You might have to do something specific to work through that. I help people with that all the time. But you don't, if you have trauma, even complex trauma, you don't have to live like that for years and years and years. You can actually work through stuff and transcend it in a fairly short period of time. It's possible. So yeah, I'm not saying your life is going to be perfect if you start meditating, but I'm saying implement these strategies into your life on a daily basis because you want peace and happiness in your life. Don't say you want peace and happiness in your life and then don't do anything about it. Like these are very simple things that everybody can implement. There's no cost to them. They're like, and if you say you're too busy, then you need nobody was, no, some people were busier. that's an excuse. You can find 20 minutes out of a 24-hour day to work on yourself. You just can. And if you don't think you can, you're mistaken. Okay. So implement this stuff and be consistent with it. I call these spiritual disciplines. You need to be disciplined. That means you are in control of your life. You are choosing to put energy towards peace and happiness in your life on a daily basis. You have to choose it and you have to stick with it. Don't be sitting there going like, people tell me all the time, yeah, I've been trying to meditate for a while, but I just can't really get consistent with it. Well, you haven't made it a priority. That's all. It's not a big deal. You just haven't made it a priority, which society doesn't tell you that this stuff is important. So it's no surprise you didn't make it a priority, right? But that's why. If I told you I'd give you $100 million if you meditate every day, or whatever dream you want, I will give you all the land and the house of your dreams, or I will introduce you to your soulmate, or whatever the hell else you want. If I said that and all you had to do was meditate for 90 days every day for 10 minutes, I guarantee you would meditate every day for 90 days. Why? Because it's a priority. You want the thing you're going to get. Well, the thing you're going to get by implementing these things that I'm talking about is more important than any external goal. It's peace and happiness. I mean, if you don't have peace and you're healthy, what do you get? Well, people commit suicide because they don't have peace, right? So like they have difficulty in their lives because they don't have peace and happiness. So it doesn't matter if you're healthy if you don't have peace and happiness. What about money? Doesn't matter if you don't have happiness. What about a wonderful relationship? Doesn't matter if you don't have peace and happiness. Probably ain't even gonna last. So my point is you have to have peace and happiness as your foundation. That is the most important thing in the world ever in your life. So act like it. And I'm not saying run around 8 hours a day chasing your peace and happiness. You don't have to, but you do have to, meditate for 10 minutes. Do something. You have to actually put effort towards it if you want it. That's how the world works. So hopefully I gave you some good ideas. And yeah, I think that feels complete. So thank you guys for listening, and hopefully that helped. If you need any help, you know where to find me. All right, peace.